Hi there, welcome to the second episode of my 10-minute moan tonight. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is an article in the Scottish Daily Express which highlights that the Scottish Government, the SNP Scottish Government, are still spending, they've spent, £8 million of Scottish taxpayers' money on an office in Brussels that's used by EU staff. They just can't stop, can they? This is a government that moan that they don't get enough money. What we give them with that money, they spend in stupid things. So the figures they'll talk about originally on this will contradict possibly what I've just said, but this money in the headline is just for the rental on the property. You'll see how I came by the £8 million figure as we get into the story. So the headline in the Scottish Daily Express is SNP government's taxpayer-funded £500,000 a year Brussels office is utilised by EU Parliament members despite Brexit. An exclusive, members of the European Parliament have enjoyed taxpayer-funded hospitality at Scotland House in Brussels despite Scotland leaving the trading bloc 4 years ago. So, yeah, that's right, one of these kiddie-on embassies we've got is in Brussels. And it's been there for 4 years when we've not had any members of the European Parliament. All right. So the story goes the Scottish Government's taxpayer-funded lavish Brussels office was utilised by members of the European Parliament for meetings despite Scotland no longer being part of the European Union. The Scottish Daily Express can reveal that Scotland House, the £500,000 a year premises located in the heart of Belgium, is used as a secretariat for meetings of the Friends of Scotland group. There you go, that's fantastic, isn't it? SNP ministers have previously been slated for running a series of 9 international offices, which have been dubbed pretendy embassies by rivals. These cost the public purse over £7 million a year to run, including staffing costs and renting premises, despite 7 of them being sited within UK embassies. There are offices in Copenhagen, Ottawa, Washington, London, Berlin, Paris, Beijing and Dublin, with the flagship one being in Brussels. Scotland House, which is run by an arm's-length taxpayer-funded company, is a few yards away from the European Commission's huge Berlaymont headquarters. It claims to help companies access EU funding, contacts and policy development information with annual running costs of £2 million. The office at 6 Rond Point Schumann in the city has a yearly rent of €550,000. So that means it's cost us £2 million per year by the time we take all the running costs into consideration, and we've not been part of the EU for 4 years. 2 million times 4, £8 million. These people are great with their money. These people need hunted. No wonder they're bankrupt as a party, because they're not very good at balancing the books and saving costs, unneeded costs, I may add. Despite Scotland leaving the EU after Brexit in 2020, it has been kept open and well staffed, and up until Qatargate scandal in the European Parliament in 2023, it was utilised by MEPs to host meetings of the Friends of Scotland's group. This was suspended after several MEPs were accused of accepting money from the Qatari government. What a scandal that was. The Qatari government were actually telling them what to put in speeches and stuff like that, and people were found with bags and suitcases full of cash. I think there was about 23 people caught in that sting when they all started to get arrested. Anyway, before this ban on informal friendship groups, there were 45 members of the coalition, and they were treated to taxpayer-funded hospitality for a number of years after the UK left the trading bloc. A Freedom of Information request by the Scottish Daily Express revealed that the Scottish Government's Brussels office provides a secretariat function to support the running of the group. These meetings provide an opportunity for you to thank the group for their enduring support and build new relationships with influential MEPs. The group is meant to be neutral with regards to Scotland's constitutional status within the UK and the UK's relationship within the EU. That's weird when they're actually called the Friends of Scotland. Kind of suggests otherwise. However, the group is chaired by Terry Reintick, a Greens politician from Germany who has met regularly with SNP ministers. There has been no meetings since Qatargate broke, although correspondence shared by the government insisted that it would set up again after June of 2024. We go on. Utilising taxpayer-funded offices for European Union activities could be classed as breaching informal guidance around reserved matters with the UK government, with the Tories particularly clamping down on this, although the new Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has indicated he wants a closer relationship with the EU. Ms Rentke also provided a quote often used by nationalists to promote independence, as she says, previously, if Scotland were to become an independent country, they would be welcomed back with open arms in the EU. Of course, they would have to pass the same process as other candidate states, but since Scotland previously applied the full ACRIS, I would expect this process to go much faster. The people of Scotland could count on myself and many other MEPs' support. What Ms Reinke has forgot to tell you is we would fail the test. So it probably would be quite a quick process because they would want to look at stuff that we don't have and say, sorry, you're no getting in, right? Ms Rentke sounds like another freeloader that loves a couple of quid of other people's money to tell them whatever it is they want to hear. When the truth is, Scotland would have no chance of being part of the EU. And I've just recently come back from Catalonia, where I did discuss with people their independence dreams and knowing how protective Spain are of keeping Catalonia inside their territory. They wouldn't be voting for anybody that's broke away from a country to get straight into the EU. They would want to make it difficult for countries like Scotland because they would see it the exact same as Catalonia. Now, something that I found out during my trip to Catalonia, which tied in nicely with Spain winning the European, the Euros. For why am I getting stuck with that name? The Euros. They won the Euros against England on the Sunday night. I was there, and you would not have believed you were in an area where it suggested here are desperate to be independent because the party seemed to go on till about 2 in the morning. I had an early rise the next day, and the horns and the fireworks told me everything I needed to know about the folk in Catalonia, how they enjoyed and celebrated the victory for Spain. And I thought, I can't imagine if the British football team played in the Olympics and won, we would be as noisy up here. So it suggested to me that these people are even less bothered about being independent from Spain than the people in Scotland would make you believe. And, however, the Spanish government seemed quite keen to quell any calls for independence in Catalonia, and there seems to be even less an appetite from the people in Catalonia going by what I witnessed last week. But they would be sure to veto any Scottish application, even if Scotland was able to hit the terms and conditions they require to be an EU state, which we're not. We're nowhere near it. So there we go. What are these people like? 8 million quid. Since we left the EU, we've spent on an office at the EU headquarters to let other people use it. Not Scottish MPs, MEPs from other nations, and headed by a crackpot, with sounds of it, from the Green Party in Germany. I don't know how much of the 8 million quid the Friends of Scotland get for maybe advice or a wee letter they've wrote. I would imagine that they would charge us for stuff like that, and that's why it would cost 8 million quid, £2 million a year, when the office itself's £500,000, which means we're spending another £1.5 million on top of that per year on stuff that we've not got a clue it goes to. And imagine there'd be a few staff in there, but their wages shouldn't be £1.5 million quid. So where does the £1.5 million go? Well, I get hospitality as well for these people, so we're looking after these people that will never see any benefit to you and I, the Scottish taxpayers and electorate. But does that surprise you? Does it surprise me? It's just another nail in the coffin for these crackpots at the SNP, because they certainly don't know how to run a country. They don't know how to run a business. Their own business should be bankrupt before Christmas. And they certainly don't know how to run a country using the same ethoses as they do with their party, where they seem to just spend, spend, spend. Anything to do with independence, we'll have a bit of that. And I'd love to know what the positives are for this £8 million Scottish taxpayers' money. Beggars belief, doesn't it? If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel. But most importantly of all, unless you're the SNP, these crackpots in the Friends of Scotland within Brussels, or any of the ever-reducing cult members that the SNP still retain. See everyone else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.